revelator, aggregator. So I've been rereading, if you want to call listening to audiobooks reading, I've been rereading the Dune series, all except the first book. I've got that in hard copy, and I haven't in print, and I haven't made time to reread it because I can listen to the audiobooks while I work. I gotta be honest, I feel a bit guilty about indulging in this Dune foolishness again now that I've rededicated my life to Christ, even though the books are just epically well written, dense, highly entertaining sci-fi. They express an incredibly cynical attitude toward religion, which wouldn't bother me if Christianity wasn't lumped in with all the other stuff, because I'm no fan of religion. I think it's pretty horrific and infuriating, the things that a fallen mankind does and can do with an institutionalized form of spirituality. These books also glamorize the occult and seek to normalize and glamorize some pretty dark stuff. I've been justifying it to myself, justifiably or not, by considering it research, listening to all this stuff again. But in order for it to be research, there has to be fruits that come of it, which is why I'm making this and possibly future videos based on the series. Also, Jay Dyer, D-Y-E-R, he's a pretty well-known researcher into the occult aspects of Hollywood. He's got a really great online article that I'm probably going to be drawing from, all about the Dune series. And it has been a fascinating exercise now that I have eyes to see and ears to hear. Once you're hip to the fact that the Oogie Boogie power players in entertainment utilize the products of their labors, the fruits of their labors, the entertainment items they produce, once you realize that they're using entertainment to communicate deeper messages and using it as predictive programming and even using it potentially to cast Oogie Boogie spells on the unsuspecting, profane and unwashed masses. Once you realize that something as dense and intricate as Dune, and as focused on politics and deep politics as Dune is, becomes fascinating to try to unravel. For those of you that haven't read it, I kid you not, there's like a secret society of elite witches, occult witches that utilize elite bloodlines for their breeding program. Their breeding program to create a Oogie Boogie Superman. They also commune with dead ancestors by being awakened to their genetics. And can even be possessed by quote-unquote dead ancestors, whatever. There's a galactic aristocracy, some of whom, of which are extremely evil and wicked and into Edo pay type stuff. And the way all this is laid out, it's not laid out in terms of good and evil. It's just matter of fact, like, this is the power players in this universe and this is how they function. Just like a card-carrying member of our own real-life Oogie Boogie would think and seek to justify their actions. There's also a drug called spice or melange, which can awaken in its users their own latent prescient abilities or wake them up to the genetic memories of their aforesaid dead quote-unquote ancestors. I also don't think it was a coinky-dink that the first book, Dune, was published in the mid-1960s, right before the consciousness expanding hippie revolution, because the first book introduces the idea of spice and then greatly expounds upon and explores the idea of spice. So I'm pretty sure the purported author, Frank Herbert, was a Oogie Boogie secret agent man for real. Also, all throughout the books, there's this sort of anti-artificial intelligence thread. And then towards the end of the series, towards the climax, and then at the climax, it becomes all about the unification of man and machine. Superman, Oogie Boogie Superman and machine. So that just plays right into the techno-apocalypse that the Oogie Boogies purportedly, supposedly have planned. And it's just interesting that the first book focused on, this drug that expanded your consciousness and made you see the future. The second and third books get more into like the occult aspect of things and the religious aspect of things. By the end, this occult, quasi-religious, deep politics stuff turns into a tie-in to artificial intelligence and man and machine joining together. It's like the books were tailored to the times they were released. Like the Dune book, the original Dune, was meant to presage, the drug revolution and the hippie revolution. And then the second and third books build on that and sort of went into the whole New Age era. The later books start to wake people up to the whole burgeoning police state and the occult nature of the secret society intelligentsia superstructure of it all. Just when people were starting to lose trust in their government and all that stuff. And then now, Chapter House Dune, the last of the Frank Herbert books, was published in, I believe, 1985 and ended on a huge cliffhanger. Then old Frank allegedly died before the series could be completed, with the last two books in the series being written by his son Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson, beginning in 2006 with the publication of Hunters of Dune. Now, they claim they found an outline and a bunch of notes from Frank Herbert in a safe deposit box. And I mean, the introduction to Hunters of Dune, the author's note, made it sound like it was like 10 or 15 years after Frank Herbert died that his son found, quote unquote, found this safe deposit box and all this new material. Does that sound believable? Like, how are they gonna not know about this safe deposit box or whatever for years and years? Here's my theory. I think Frank Herbert probably wrote large swaths of the Dune books, probably outlined a bunch of stuff, but I don't think one human mind could be capable of just creating such a dense, sprawling, vast, intricate story. It just strains credulity. And I think it was written, more than likely it was written by a committee of Oogie Boogies, and then the face of it, the spokesperson, was Frank Herbert, and then later Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. And I think that Hunters of Dune and Sandworms of Dune came out exactly when they were supposed to. It didn't have anything to do with discovering some mysterious safe deposit box or whatever. They needed to get the masses ready for the AI revolution they were planning. And what better way than to resurrect the Dune property that ended with a cliffhanger back in the 80s and expose a whole new generation to all that stuff. And now they're about to expose a whole new generation with this new Dune movie or series of movies that's fixing to come out. We didn't even get to talk about the movie back in the 80s or whenever, 70s or 80s, by Oogie Boogie David Lynch. Maybe I'll save that for my next video on Dune. Father God bless you all. Jesus Christ saves, and stay positive.